Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a king who fell gravely ill. His sons, the three princes, were distressed by their father's condition and sought to cure him. The court physicians had given up hope, but an old wise man told them about a mystical spring known as the water of life. The water from this spring was said to cure any ailment and even grant eternal youth. The eldest prince set off first on his quest, spurred by a desire for glory and power. As he ventured deep into the forest, he came across a dwarf who stood in his path. The dwarf asked the prince where he was headed and offered his assistance. However, the eldest prince was arrogant and dismissed the small man rudely. The dwarf, offended by his behavior, cast a curse that trapped the prince in a rocky crevice, rendering him unable to move further. The second prince, unaware of his brother's fate, embarked on the same journey. He too encountered the dwarf but, like his brother, treated the creature with disdain. The dwarf repeated his curse, and soon the second prince found himself lost in a tangle of thorns from which he could not escape. Finally, the youngest prince, who was kind and humble, set out to find the water of life. He encountered the dwarf in the forest and greeted him with kindness and respect. When the dwarf asked about his journey, the youngest prince explained his quest honestly and courteously. Pleased by his demeanor, the dwarf offered help and advice. "Travel on," the dwarf said, "and you will find a castle where the water of life is kept. But beware, for it is guarded by fierce obstacles. Show courage and you shall succeed." Following the dwarf's guidance, the youngest prince reached the castle. There he faced dangerous challenges, from traversing fiery pits to battling enchanted soldiers. His bravery and compassion for the enchanted beings allowed him to overcome every trial. Eventually, he reached a fountain of shimmering water, the water of life. With the precious water secured, he returned to the kingdom. On his way back, he freed his two brothers, forgiving their earlier arrogance. The prince begged until the dwarf released them, but he warned him, however, and said, "Beware of them, for they have bad hearts." When his brothers came, he rejoiced and told them how things had gone with him. He found the water of life and had rescued a beautiful princess who was willing to marry him after a year. Armed with magical gifts, a loaf of bread that never diminished, and a gleaming sword, he traveled across 3 kingdoms that had fallen into distress, sharing his gifts and restoring hope. His elder brothers, however, were not as noble. Consumed by envy, they stole the water of life. In their malevolent plot, the brothers replaced it with common salt water to frame the youngest prince for an unforgivable crime. When the delivery was made, instead of healing their father, the salt water only added to his misery. Wrongfully accused of attempted regicide by poisoning the king he loved, sentenced to death, the youngest prince faced an unjust execution. "Dear huntsman, let me live. There, I give you my royal garments," the huntsman said. "I will willingly do that. Indeed, I should not have been able to shoot you." Then they exchanged clothes, and the huntsman returned home. The prince, however, went further into the forest. After a time, 3 wagons of gold came to the king for his youngest son, which were sent by the 3 kings who had slain their enemies with the prince's sword and maintained their people with his bread. Witnesses to the elder brother's deceit spoke up, and the youngest prince's name was cleared. The king, overcome with remorse for having his son killed, learns from the huntsman that his son is still alive. Relieved and overjoyed, he publicly welcomes his son back and restores him to his rightful place. In the kingdom of his heart, another destiny awaited. The princess, however, had a road made up to her palace which was quite bright and golden, and told her people that whosoever came riding straight along it to her would be the right wooer and was to be admitted, and whoever rode by the side of it was not the right one. The elder brothers, eager to win her favor, schemed tirelessly, yet they ultimately faltered. The young prince, obsessed with thoughts of his beloved princess, was so distracted that he completely missed the golden road. And when he came to the door, he was welcomed by the princess and declared the new ruler of the kingdom. Thus, the youngest prince, having triumphed over betrayal and adversity, claimed his rightful bride. Their union was celebrated with joyous cheers across the land, heralding a new era of peace and prosperity.